Arise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. St. Matthew tells us that from the beginning we have been a pilgrim people who journey to life without end. The Advent season invites us initially to look forward and prepare for the second coming of Christ. The second part of this holy season focuses on a more immediate preparation for the annual celebration of Christmas. In both preparations, however, we never forget that we are a pilgrim people. The notion of pilgrimage is important because it allows us to center on Christ, who is our goal and whose invitation to eternal blessedness we want to hear at the end of our life journey. A pilgrim will put up with many inconveniences in order to reach the goal, but he or she will also be single-hearted in making the journey. Christmas reminds us that we can respond to the invitation to follow the Lord because He loves us first. Almighty God sent His only begotten Son into the world to take up our human condition and open our eyes to the potential of our humanity. He did not disdain being welcomed into the world in a manger where animals eat. He accepted the ox and donkey as His first companions and welcomed the homage of poor shepherds who watch the sheep of others in the bitter cold. When we follow the shepherd's example and gather at the Christmas crib, we cannot fail to remember that God created us in His image and likeness, and when we failed, He sent His Son to give us what we are unable to earn, salvation. We are all helpless, in need of salvation, and profoundly loved by Almighty God. Even in the present challenging situation, we are grateful for the Father's love. By the same token, we recognize in every other person someone loved equally by the Father. If we do not share the same origins, faith, or political positions, we still see one loved by God and created in His image. Together, let us decide to treat each other with dignity, respect, and an edifying discourse. Disagreement never entitles us to show disrespect to another created in the image and likeness of God. As Catholic pilgrims, we are bound to give good example. Pope Francis reminded us recently, and I quote, "In today's world, the sense of belonging to a single human family is fading, and the dream of working together for justice and peace seems an outdated utopia. What reigns instead is a cool, comfortable, and globalized indifference, born of deep disillusionment, concealed behind a deceptive illusion, thinking that we are all powerful, while failing to realize that we are all in the same boat. This illusion, unmindful of the great fraternal values, leads us to a sort of cynicism. For that is the temptation we face if we go down the road of disenchantment and disappointment, isolation and withdrawal into one's own interests are never the way to restore hope and bring about renewal. Rather, it is closeness. It is the culture of encounter." End of the citation. Perhaps the pandemic has reminded us of this interdependence. We cannot live in isolation. Even the work on possible vaccines has been an international effort. The Lord calls us as a pilgrim people to recognize and celebrate that interdependence. Our good military families help illustrate the way forward. How many times have you made room for the stranger? How many times have you responded to a crisis without a thought to your own needs? How often has deployment illustrated that you can support one another even at a great distance? The faithful of this global Archdiocese can teach others about readiness, response in a crisis, and profound solidarity. In such ways, you are authentic missionary disciples. Last year, I mentioned our special opportunity during the anniversary year of Our Lady of Loreto, the possibility of receiving the indulgence in all of our military chapels has been extended until the 10th of December 2021. We can still go to the chapel, pray before an image of the Blessed Virgin for the intentions of the Pope, and receive Holy Communion and go to confession either 8 days prior or 8 days following the visit. This is a great moment of immense grace for ourselves and for our loved ones who have died. One of my greatest concerns continues to be providing for the celebration of the Eucharist for you, the faithful entrusted to my pastoral care. The shortage of priests obliges us to pray to the Master for more workers for the harvest. It also calls us to deepen our appreciation of the gift of the Eucharist, that one sacrifice that assured our salvation, at which Christ allows us to be present every time Mass is celebrated. The pandemic has obliged us to recognize the importance of the Eucharist and cultivate our hunger for the only food which saves. I know that all of us think and pray for those who are deployed during this Christmas season. We give thanks for their generous service, and we recognize that the families separated by this service also suffer and demonstrate their willingness to sacrifice for the good of all. Be assured of my prayers for all of you. For the first time in more than 12 years that I have served as your Archbishop, I am unable to spend these important days in an overseas location. The restrictions make keeping that long tradition unfeasible. Consequently, I will spend my time on the installations in Alaska and actually ensure the presence of Catholic ministry at the 2 installations near Fairbanks. I am grateful for this opportunity. My auxiliary bishops will also visit communities as they are able. The current restrictions in place do not always allow us to do what we would choose to do. Important is to do what we can and respect whatever the intelligence of the day suggests that will help stem this spread of this illness. I urge you to continue your prayers for vocations to the priesthood and consecrated life. As we adore birth and absolute love in the divine goodness in our human condition, let us renew our urgent prayer for peace. Jesus Christ, the babe of Bethlehem, came to teach us that we are all brothers and sisters who work together and live in harmony. This goal seems so far away and yet so pressing. We must also pray for an authentic and lasting peace. Finally, on behalf of my auxiliary bishops, the clergy, religious, and lay staff of your Archdiocese for the military services, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a 2021 filled with health, joy, serenity, and reconciliation. Have a blessed Christmas and continue to move forward in the pilgrimage to everlasting life. God bless you.